It's March 18th, 2015, and this is your Fortean Slip News. Woo!
From theblaze.com, there's a new development in
I want to just do the Ric
controversy.
Flair news. Woo!
Is that who you're trying to impersonate?
That's what you're
Ric
supposed to
Flair?
do when you do Ric
I,
Flair. You just fucking go around and say woo.
I
You
actually
obviously
know
didn't
who.
see the wrestling isn't wrestling video that was put out.
No, no, but I know who Ric Flair is.
It, if anyone has not caught this week the wrestling isn't wrestling video, just go on YouTube, punch in wrestling isn't wrestling. It should be the first thing that pops up. If you are a fan of wrestling, if you are not a fan of wrestling, I am not. Although I watched wrestling when I was young, it fucking cracked me up. So anyway, continue, Steve.
The last time I watched wrestling, Andre the Giant was still wrestling. If that tells you anything.
Woo!
But Ric Flair was around back then, too, I think.
Fucking Ric Flair's always been around.
From theblaze.com, there's a new development in the controversy of the Yeti hair samples. You might remember that from Bryan Sykes. Here's the latest. A new study that reanalyzed so-called Yeti hair samples from previous research that had identified them as belonging to an anomalous ursid might have disappointing news for those who thought the findings last year meant Bigfoot of sorts was still out there. Yet the author of the original findings stands by his claims. Research published in the journal Zookeys found that the hair samples said to be from Central Asia and the Himalayas belong to a known species in those regions. We have concluded that there is no reason to believe that the two samples came from anything other than brown bears, the author wrote in the study abstract. These authors These authors use mitochondrial 12S RNA sequencing, whatever the fuck that is, on the same samples that Oxford University's Bryan Sykes and his fellow authors used in their study published last year. The issue, Eliezer Gutierrez, a postdoctoral researcher at the Smithsonian's Natural Museum of Natural History, and his colleagues found with Sykes' research was that his team used a fragment of DNA. We made this discovery that basically that
Dr. Sykes would be so much more fun if he said woo.
We made this discovery that basically that fragment of DNA is not informative to tell apart two species of bears, the brown bear and a polar bear. At the time of his 2014 study, Sykes wrote, "It is important to bear in mind that absence of evidence is not..." God, I hate that saying. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, and this survey cannot refute the existence of anomalous primates. Neither has it found any evidence in support. The techniques described here put an end to decades of ambiguity about species identification of anomalous primate samples and set rigorous standards against which to judge any future claims. And Sykes still holds his ground despite the most recent findings. What mattered most to us was that these two hairs were definitely not from unknown primates, Sykes told Live Science. The explanation by Gutierrez and Ronald Pine might be right, or it might not be.
See, if he'd have ended that with woo, fucking people would have been all over it.
The only way forward, as I have repeatedly said, is to find a living bear that matches the 12S RNA and study fresh material from it, he continued, which involves getting off your butt and not an activity I usually associate with desk-bound molecular taxonomists. Boy, Sykes is an ass, isn't he? Daniel.
I haven't met him.
Well, that's what he said.
My ex-girlfriend has.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that one. Ex-girlfriend, I mean.
Yeah.
Daniel Loxton, editor for Junior Skeptic, which is produced by the Skeptic Society, told Live Science that people will continue to believe in and seek out Yetis, Bigfoots, and the like, because they are fascinated by monsters, and they are
Fascinated?
fascinated by mysteries in general. Blake Smith, in a blog for Skeptics Society.
I was fascinated recently.
It's my Pennsylvania
The
accent.
king
That's what
put
that is.
the sword on my shoulder and said, I fascinate you.
Anyway, Blake Smith, in a blog post for Skeptics Society, he laid out the whole saga involving Sykes' research and the more recent analysis by Gutierrez. Smith ultimately concluded that he's still convinced that Yeti and Bigfoot are not to be found in the forests and mountains of the earth, but in the minds of people.
Dun dun
I'm
dun.
not sure I can disagree with that at this point.
Dun dun dun.
And our second story from OutsideOnline.com. Hemp may be the future of flying. Canadian Derek Kessick has set out about making the first airplane made almost entirely
he's Canadian,
of hemp.
Steve. He set a boot.
Oh, a boot. Okay, you're right. If all goes according to schedule, I'm going to try to do this in my best Canadian accent.
No. Just read the fucking thing. You can't even fucking read in your native fucking accent.
If all goes according to schedule, the four-seater plane, which will be made of no less than 75% hemp and will run on hemp-based biofuel, will make its maiden flight sometime this fall or next spring from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Site of the Wright brothers' historic takeoff. It's the first part of Derek Kessick's broader vision to get help. to help get, you got me all flustered. To help get industrial hemp use off the ground. And why he chose to make a plane rather than, say, a hemp motorcycle is because it'll get noticed. There are many advantages to using hemp, says Kessick, a former organic restaurant owner in Ontario, who founded Hemp, a company focused on developing hemp products for many uses. This plane project is just our first experiment with industrial hemp. And I can't read for shit tonight. And we plan to, I know it's nothing, yes. And we plan to explore many uses. Once we establish structural testing and information from the hemp project, we will take that and work on the next best implication. The sky may not be the limit. I love all the puns. If it is Kessick's belief that hemp can be used to replace the fiberglass currently used to build aircraft, this matters because hemp production is carbon neutral, while the process of creating fiberglass creates air pollution, specifically releasing something called styrene into the atmosphere. I have no clue.
That's not hemp good, Steve.
No, styrene is not good.
Not good.
That's all I know. Not at all. Hemp has been used for centuries for making things like rope and fabric, and records of the Chinese using hemp for papermaking go back a couple thousand years. Today you can buy a myriad of products made from industrial hemp: clothing, soaps, oils, omega-rich seeds used for food, supplements, and even animal feed. Even construction materials are made from hemp. A large share of the hemp products consumed in the U.S. come from Canada, which legalized industrial hemp production in 1992. This is a
as they should have.
It should be legal for industrial use anyhow. Last fall, Kessick signed a contract with a U.S. small plane manufacturer to build the plane using their designs, but building components from hemp and resin panels instead of fiberglass. The project is still in its earliest phase. He's launched a crowdsourced... Why does everybody do crowdfunding campaigns anymore?
Why? Because they've been working, Steve.
Everybody and his fucking brother has a crowdfunding campaign. I tried to do a crowdfunding campaign. Now mine failed miserably, but whatever. Anyway, he's looking around for a company that will reliably produce the hemp biofuel the plane will use, possibly even investing in one. Then, says Kessick, who cites Richard Branson and Elon Musk as huge influence, he intends to keep the patents open, much the way Musk released the patents on the Tesla to encourage growth in the industry. We're a company that once we have the money, We'll do good things with it. We want to truly give back.
Yeah, buddy.
And aliens are out there, according to our next story. Well,
They are?
maybe. Yes. News.sky.com. Billions of planets in our own galaxy may hold life. A 250-year-old mathematical hypothesis once predicted the existence of Uranus.
The fuck is wrong with you?
But could it be used to help us find aliens? I seen the headline of the story because it said Uranus. That's why I wanted to eat.
Yeah, I kind of fucking figured.
Billions of stars. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the story. It's just billions of stars in our galaxy could hold as many as 3 planets orbiting them that could support life. Astronomers use data from NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, which has already confirmed that 1,000 planets are orbiting stars in the Milky Way, with another 3,000 possibles. The research.
Enjoying
I'd
yourself?
never be a real newsman. Yeah, I'd never be a real newsman.
Enjoying
I just
yourself,
couldn't
are
do
you?
it.
Fucking, Uranus! Ah! They talked about a butthole.
Back years ago, Chris, and this isn't in the story, this is, personal observation. Back years ago, I went to college, and I took broadcasting.
No one would ever fucking know
major.
that.
No, my major was broadcasting. And on...
Yes, communications, people. His fucking major was communications, something he can't do.
Anyway, there was a guy, he was an athlete. I think he was a pole vaulter. His name was Sergey. And he was Russian or something, I don't know. And it was a Christian radio station. I had a Saturday afternoon show or something as one of my classes. And his last name was Bubka. Sergey Bubka. So I got to say that on a Christian radio station. And I chuckled then, too.
You fucking rebel.
The researchers made their claim after calculating the chances of planets orbiting...
What fucking kind of segue was that?
The region around the star which can contain planets capable of supporting liquid water. Danish researcher Stefan Kjar Jacobsen from the University of Copenhagen said, according to the statistics, I still can't get over Uranus. According to
if anybody knows how to read the news and is available on Sundays, Saturdays, and Wednesdays.
I know how to read the news. Not correctly, but I know how to read it. Danish researcher, I already read that part. Scientists believe there could be many more planets that remain undiscovered by Kepler. To estimate the positions of the hidden planets, the researchers updated a 250-year-old mathematical concept called the Titius bone.
Fuck you. Just
The Titius bone law, which predicts the spacing of the planets in the solar system. The scientists predicted a total of 228 planets in 151 systems and concluded that each system should have an average of 1 to 3 planets in the habitable zone. Extending this theory further, they believe there could be billions of stars in the Milky Way with habitable zone planets where surface water and life could exist. That is the news, Chris.
wow.
I made it through another newscast.
Woo!